We are going to continue now from art to music, and arrived at my table now is Michiel Sekan,
Yes.
who is a DJ and a music archaeologist, if you will, who has performed also as a DJ in clubs and at festivals. I think I understand also Lowlands, for example.
Yeah.
But for here, more importantly, he was also a resident at the online radio show Red Light Radio, where he had an online monthly show in which he played Indonesian rarities only. And he's also founder of Jiwa Jiwa, which we will talk about in a minute, which is, in short, an online platform which zooms in on the obscure and forgotten history, cultures, music, and beyond from Indonesia and diaspora also. I think maybe should we start with a
Yeah, we could start with a little clip. I brought some
Yeah.
audio clips. The first one is by the Rollies called Hidup.
Hidup Pedrolis? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's on this record by the new Rollies. And it's Hidup means life.
Mhm.
And this is one of the first songs that I found digging for what music there was from Indonesia. Back in 2016 is when I basically started Jiwa Jiwa, and I did some research before that. So I went there with little knowledge for the first time, pulang kampung, they call it. And it was very special, and this was basically my sort of like go-to record to show to people, like, this is what I'm after, what I'm looking for. And yeah, Hidup means life.
Yeah.
So it gave life to what Jiwa Jiwa is now as well.
And could you maybe explain also how, because you returned or you went to Indonesia, how that relates to maybe your familial background, your ancestry,
Yeah,
etc.
so
maybe?
I'm Indo-European. My father is born in Medan. And they arrived here in April 1962. So 60 years or so ago. Yeah, the colonial history that comes with that also plays a big part in the research that I do now, with not only music but also cultural stories behind what Jiwa Jiwa does.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also something that returned in, let's say, a music installation that I saw this morning, which was sent to me, and which we might go into a little bit later. But
Yeah.
to return to also Jiwa Jiwa, could you maybe tell us about, for example, when you go to Indonesia, what digging is, or
Yeah.
in what sense you are an archaeologist, if you will,
Yeah.
in terms of music?
Yeah. I also brought some photos, which there's also a slide show of. This is Ridwan from Block M. These are some of the owners of the shops. This is Jalan Surabaya in Jakarta. Yeah, these are some of the shops like you would find in Indonesia. This was in Medan, actually, at somebody's house. This is in Bandung. Also in Bandung. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I just go there looking. I actually found out about most of these. Actually, this is a picture you see now. It says khusus untuk radio 2, tidak untuk dijual, which means it's special for only Radio 2 and it's not for sale. Which
You
is
bought it, or?
yeah, and this is the way promos were sent out.
Okay.
The records.
Sure.
So a lot of the records you find are radio promos, are not officially for sale.
Yeah.
Which now they are, because they've been discarded or
Yeah.
yeah. But the digging was, yeah, I found on the second page of Google, where nobody looks, I found some information about record shops and somebody there that made edits of disco records, and Munir, good friend of mine. He lives in Bandung and he makes beautiful music, and yeah, that's basically where I started, and from that it developed, being there for 3 months and just meeting all the right people at the right time.
And I think what's great about that is that you told me also, and I asked you about that, is that you describe it as being obscure music or forgotten music. And could you maybe explain a little bit about for whom it is obscure or forgotten, or how it came to be
Yeah,
like that?
so the music is not only obscure just in the world, but in Indonesia as well. It's some of the music, some things like the Rollies are a very known band in Indonesia, but some of their songs might be lesser known, and those are the ones that I'm usually looking for. So in that sense, the obscurity lies in also in Indonesia, which then means because it's usually not exported, also it stays around there. So you really have to go there to find these things. Yeah.
I think what's also great is that you brought some of these hidden gems that you found, and in relation to this, to the festival, of course, to the theme of the talk show, also asks you whether it was if there were any relations between the music that you have and that you found, and, for example, local folklore. And I think it is, if I'm correct, you had two examples of that. I think
Yeah.
one of those is Hari Ruslis.
Yes, correct.
Janga Waring.
Yeah, correct.
So maybe we can
Listen to that
yeah.
a little bit. So again here, you clearly hear the gamelan influence, but it has really like a funk and psych rock vibe to it. And he's also not like he's a star in Indonesia, but also not to extent like a pop star. And this is the cassette that it's on. The album is called Titik Api. And also here the artwork, you'd call it fantastical. It's really sort of out there and trippy, and
it's more, I guess, more difficult to see for the people at home.
Yeah.
But we'll show some cassette covers and vinyls. What's interesting also is that this is something that you found on cassette.
Yeah.
And then
because it was only released again to the public on cassette, and then as a radio promo for the radio stations to play.
Okay. And then I think you had another one also that
that's by what's it called in Band Nada Kencana.
Yeah.
With a little video as well. By
okay.
Persona. They're from Bali, an initiative. And this again sort of has like an eerie vibe to it, especially with the cover as well. And in that sense, it sort of related to what we are.
To the theme.
To the theme that we're talking about.
Yeah. And then, because you are referring now also to the artwork, I think we have. I think you sent some of the vinyl covers and cassettes, which of course.
So this is. I'm not sure. No, this is not Pocong. I thought maybe in the back of my head it maybe was, but I thought it would be interesting to show because this is
certainly
sort
has
of,
horror
it
aesthetics.
certainly has horror aesthetics to it. And again, this is also by Hari Rusli. This is by Shark Move. Also another psych rock band. And you can find the most beautiful covers in the psych rock section usually with all these fantastical, crazy visuals. That's I think a big part of Indonesia as well, the rock and psychedelic side. How would you describe it as sort of counterculture is very big in Indonesia, and you can hear that in a lot of the music as well.
Is it actually, to maybe return also to your, let's say, modus operandi, if you will, but why did you select more obscure kind of music? Why are you also doing it with mainstream or not, and why not?
Well, I do like my love for music mostly comes from black music, so that's where my initial search started, which then also evolved in the more folk side of things, like Sunda or Gambus music or Pop Tapanuli, and they all have sort of relations to the area that they're from.
Okay.
Like Sunda's from West Java, and the music is really a big. Would you say the culture behind it is now also a bigger part of what I want to tell with Jiwa Jiwa? Not only look for the things that work on the dance floor, for instance.
Well, that's interesting because if you talk about the culture around it, also one of the things is also pretty important, I assume, is or are the creators.
Yeah.
And their stories. And I was told also that you have a particular interest in these kinds of stories.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, or I asked you beforehand, if you could maybe give us an example of in which you could connect that and maybe tell a little bit about the story behind it. And I think you brought an example.
Yeah, I brought an example. Well, first listen to the audio piece. It's Lili Suryani, Gendjer-gendjer. Yeah, this is a beautiful version of a track that was, from an original by Muhammad Arif from 1943. And it's very funny because I didn't know what exactly the other speakers were going to talk about.
Yeah.
But with Enka, I found we have a very similar interest in that. He also talked about, and you also mentioned the Gerakan September 30.
Yeah.
Which is the movie by Orde Baru. And Gendjer-gendjer is a song, it was officially released in 1943, so by Muhammad Arif. And in the 60s, it got picked up by the PKI, so the left-wing party of Indonesia. And it became sort of like the folk song became sort of like their anthem. And the song originally was in the 40s to portray how bad the people had it during the Japanese occupation, where they had to eat the gendjer, which is a water plant which grows in the sawas. And it's very interesting. I asked my Oma as well, like, do you know this? And she was also in an occupation camp in Sumatra. And she also remembered eating the gendjer during the time, which is very special to link all these things as well, also to my personal interest, but also the family connection. And then it was banned by the Orde Baru until 1998. So the song couldn't be played in any way. And by Suharto, and then it had to do with probably because this is sort of a rumor that the people that hung or killed the generals, that they sang the song while doing it. So I thought that was very interesting that the artwork that Enka made also relates directly back to this record. This is the different version by Bing Slamet. But I also have a cover by the Asli cover by Genji. This is the Lili Suryani cover.
Oh, yeah.
And then I have another one, which is the Asli Gendjer cover. And this has actually just been found by a friend of mine, David. He runs a really beautiful initiative in Jakarta called Irama Nusantara. And he found this actually about a year and a half ago or something. And yeah, this shows basically the original cover with the how do you call them again? The Angklung Orkest Rimuda, and from Banyuwangi, and that's also where Mohammed Arif is from.
Yeah.
So this is probably the original cover. Unfortunately, there was no record with it, so he doesn't know what it sounds like. But this is, anyway, still pretty impressive to find.
But it is, I mean, thank you very much for that, also for the explanation. Also, and what's interesting is that this is also, we ask you to come with some examples, so we didn't plan this, and indeed it has these connections with the artwork of Enka, but also, as you said, with the film Gendjer-gendjer, because I believe the rumor or the scene in which the people dancing around the well, I think, where after the generals were killed, it features this song also. So it is very prominently also embedded in Indonesian popular culture through music, but also cinema. And then also what's very interesting in what you told is this development of the song being related to sort of the situation during the Japanese occupation initially, and then the PKI, and then through this film and through the situation in 1965, 1960, it became prohibited, and then also all these kind of different covers. And what I also find interesting in the vinyl covers that you showed is that they are relatively festive also. So it's also a celebration in that sense. So yeah, thank you very much for that. I wanted to say one more thing, or return to one thing with you, because unfortunately we're running out of time also. But Jiwa Jiwa is also becoming a record label, I understand. And can you tell me a little bit more about the first track that is coming up, which is also related to these kinds of obscure...
Yeah, exactly. This is a record that I found in 2016 in my hometown, but I got to know it through my friend David from Jakarta. But I found my copy in close to where my family grew up. It's called Licik by Deli Rollies. So I brought a little audio clip from that as well.
So we can hear it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is beautiful, like vocoder song, really sort of deep, spacey funk track. And in 2018, I went back again and met up with the songwriter to negotiate a way we can reissue this, and it's going to be re-released and released in October this year.
Great. So this obscure kind of songs are becoming
getting more available again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I would say this would conclude our talk show.
Yes.
And the reason for that is simply that we are running out of time. We started with Hikmat, we started with comics, we went to films, artwork, music, and I found it fascinating to learn all about these topics, and I hope you, the audience at home, actually found that too. I want to thank Hikmat, Eki, Sander, Enka, Michiel for their contributions today to giving us all insights into the wider cultural movement in Indonesia, which focuses on these kinds of local folklore, on horror, on the fantastical in Indonesia today. But for those of you at home, just a reminder that please don't forget that the theme program Ghosts and Demons in Indonesian Genre Cinema, it still continues during the festival. So tonight, for example, the festival will screen Pengabdi Setan, or Satan's Slaves, which will be followed by a Q&A with, I think, with the film's director, celebrated filmmaker Joko Anwar. At least there is a Q&A. And I understand that Michiel also, he made can I say a music installation?
Yeah, audiovisual installation.
An audiovisual installation, which, as I hope, will soon be also published online on the website of
together as well. Yeah.
So make sure to check that out. And then, yes, nothing else than to thank you all and have a lovely Sunday. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Terima kasih banyak.
Yes.